Hi, this is Dr. Patterson, and welcome to Fasting with the Doc. And in this video, I'm going to give you some information regarding the reasons why you're sick. There are two. So we're going to talk about the two reasons why you become ill and ultimately develop disease. And in some cases, from this disease, if it lasts too long and is left untreated, you may succumb to whatever the diagnosed disease is. And keep in mind that I've said before that people die from starvation, exhaustion, and exposure. It could be at the cell layer. This is some of the areas that affect the organs. When the cells are damaged or diseased, the organ becomes damaged and diseased, and organ systems become damaged and diseased. And if this, like I said, if it's prolonged, then you will succumb to it if left untreated. But it's important to know why you get sick. That's very important. And one of the first reasons that we're going to look at is uh, not being in alignment with your natural environment. So that means that you would have to adapt to the change in the environment. And what I mean by that is that you have to look at topography. That includes the water, the air, the land mass, the food, the level of stress that you're involved in. And so if you move from that location, then you may not be able to adapt to the new location. The food may be different. The air quality of air may be different. The water may be different. The zone that you're living in now, the new zone, might be different from the one that you once came from. So we're going to look at the map here. Let's look at this globe. And I'm going to point out some things. This is the equator right here. Okay, this blue line right there, that's the equator. And I'm just going to look at the zones here. We're looking at the Tropic of Cancer. That's about 20 degrees north of the equator. And you're going to go down to about 20 degrees south here, which is the Tropic of Capricorn. And I want to look at the countries involved. This area here is very warm. It's actually hot, this area. Anywhere around, that encompasses Middle Africa, southern part of Southern Africa. Keep going all the way around the globe here. You see where we have Malaysia, Thailand, part of Northern Australia. We keep going. You're going to come around to the Hawaiian Islands, Middle America or Central America, Northern South America. So I'm looking at this area, and when you think about the topography of this area, there's certain foods that are associated with the area. So when we look in terms of people, then if there's any alteration from north to south, east to west, it will affect your nervous system. It's going to affect the what is called epigenetics. Epigenetics is changes in the environment to where it affects your DNA. It affects the DNA in such a way that genes that are turned on won't stay turned on, or genes that should turn on won't turn on. Genes that are on that should turn off won't turn off. And if this occurs, and then the cells that are associated with the DNA have problems with this turning on and turning off of genes, then they can become cancerous. That's how it starts. See, so it affects the DNA. Then it affects the nervous system. The autonomic nervous system, which is comprised of two parts, basically help you survive when you're in the sympathetic mode. That's your flight or fright mode. And then the parasympathetic is rest and digest. And so we're just going to take an area here. Just look at this area right here. This is Tropic of Cancer right here, and then Tropic of Capricorn, 30 degrees below. We take people that come from this area here, right in here, move them over here. But look where it is. Here's the Tropic of Cancer, right there. That's Mexico, the middle part of Mexico. Suppose you move them north. Here's Chicago up here. That's 42 degrees latitude. You got a difference in the temperature. Seasonally, there's a difference in the temperature. There's a difference in the sea level. You have to take that into consideration. And there's certainly a difference in food. So when you consider that it's very possible that the food in this area here kept your nervous system balanced, it kept the DNA and the genes in balance, then there are different type of diseases that occur as a result of heat that you don't see over here in this area. So you may see it in the southern part, but it's still north of the Tropic of Cancer, and certainly north of the equator, which is at 0. So if you move people out of this area and move them here, and then you change the food, say the food here is naturally occurring for this area, the water, the air, move them to this area, more industrialization, chemicals in food, chemicals in the water, the level of stress is increased. There may be certain immunological changes that occur, parasites, bacteria, fungus, viral infections. Then just the actual change in food, which is totally different from this food here in this area, we're talking about a state of disease. So it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible to live today in this environment. And now it's almost global, but let's just go back and say that if you cannot get foods that will help to raise your nutritional response to that food, where it resonates with the cells, then the cells will start to prematurely die, or they will become rogue. And if those cells become rogue and they're trying to survive, then we're talking about cancer. So what you're seeing is in this area here, people are over consuming foods that do not resonate with their cells. That's where disease comes from. And case in point, we had, like I said, I've been in practice 40 years. We've had patients from Chicago, Indiana, Wisconsin, Iowa that have come to our office. And they had to go to this area here. We're talking about Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Senegal, and most of it was business. Some of it was for religious reasons, but whatever it was, they had to go here in this area from 42 degrees latitude. They had to go south toward the equator in this area here. And most of them were there for 4 to 6 weeks. And it was amazing what happened once they returned. When they returned, they basically now none of these people knew one another. They're from all different walks of life. When they returned, they basically had the same story. They did a lot of walking. They had transportation, but for the most part, they had to walk a lot every day. And they had to eat and drink a lot of liquids because it was so hot in this area. See how it's very close to the equator, so it's going to be very extremely hot. But what they did was the diet was really refined. They could have gotten, because this area is all commercial now with like America in terms of fast foods. But at the time that they went and the location that they were in, places in Ghana and Nigeria, they were in a location where it was more rural. And so they had to walk, but the food, coastal areas, the food that they had, fresh fish, they had some chicken, a lot of rice, a lot of vegetables, no commercialized sweets. They had something that was a dessert that was sweet, but whatever it was not uh, like the sugary sweets that we have here. So these people lost the weight loss in that period of time was 11 to 22 pounds in that period of time, eating, walking, drinking water, teas, that sort of thing. This is what happened. And then what was really remarkable was that just about everybody that left was suffering with high blood pressure, hypertension. Some were on medication, some were not. They were trying to do it naturally, but yet still the blood pressure fluctuated, was still up. When they got here, after about 2 weeks, the blood pressure came down. It was reduced, and then it became normal. You see? So that means that the food, the air, the water, the circulation from walking resonated with their cellular structures and their DNA, and they lost weight. The hypertension reduced down to normal, and they took blood pressures of people in these areas, and none of these people, no matter what the age was, had hypertension. That's an amazing kind of thing. So this will show you that the location that you're in has a lot to do with your health. So when these people all return back to the States and return to Chicago, within 2 weeks, the blood pressure went up, the weight started to increase. This is what we know, and this is with medication. This is what we noticed. So you're out of the area. If you couldn't bring this environment to Chicago, you're going to have problems. So that's letting you know that some of the diseases that you have, especially with chronic illness, are the result of your body not being able to resonate with the location that you're living in, reside in, or work in. It's the result of the food. And we know that food today, the standard American diet, is not food. Okay, it's something artificial. And so the body, the cells of the body, they rebel, so there are chemicals, toxins that are in direct conflict with the cellular respiration that goes on, with all the different cycles that help you extract energy from foods. You're in direct conflict with that. See, so that's how your environment reacts to being in the wrong environment, and what happens when you put the body back into its natural, normal environment where it should be, then you get an immediate response. And so as a matter of fact, coming from this area, and I keep going back to this area here in West Africa, and you're looking at the states. First of all, we're looking at an elevation in terms of degrees as far as the latitude is concerned. So it's going to be a little cool. It gets hot here too, seasonally. But what we're looking at is that you have to adapt to the changes in season. See, and so that means that the food has to adapt also. That doesn't occur. See, so what does this say? What we notice is that the patients basically in this area are sympathetic dominant. That means that they're in the flight, fright, or fight mode all the time, even when you sleep. Your stress hormones should not be elevated in your sleep. So it's just like being on the treadmill. Your body will lay down to rest, but it doesn't rest. The body is on a treadmill while you're sleeping. Your eyes are closed. And when you wake up tired. So you've got to have the ability to have your hormones, the stress hormones, adapt to the situation that they're in as far as stress is concerned, and then return to normal. That does not occur in most cases. And as a result, patients have hypertension. You can have diabetes or develop diabetes that has nothing to do with the foods that you consume. It has everything to do with the alteration of the hormones in the body, and the body cannot relax and rest. And so what we notice is that the patients from this area living here have to be on a vegetarian diet. That's the only way that you can handle sympathetic dominance. They have to be on a vegetarian diet. They have to have magnesium and potassium, chromium as some of the main supplements. It has to come from the food. You have to supplement the diet with that. One of the problems that we notice with magnesium is that magnesium, which is necessary for your calcium control. See, it's not that you need calcium, but you want to be able to control the calcium with the proper magnesium levels. Kidney stones, in relationship to the heart, we're looking at mitral valve prolapse and heart rhythm problems that result with deficiencies in magnesium. In this area, it's industrialized. You have pipes that carry water, but the pipes are lead. And lead pipes, we know, will diminish the amount of magnesium that the body needs. And so you already have magnesium deficiencies because it's being leached away from the water by lead. The water is transporting or being transported by with the pipes, the lead pipes. So a person that's in this area need to be on a vegetarian diet, no meat whatsoever. They need folic acid, so they don't need calcium. So you actually will help them to develop kidney stones, gallbladder stones, taking too much calcium. See, so let the calcium come from a vegetarian meal and take the supplements. Now, at the same token, another person can come from this area here, Northern Europe, and come to this area, increase the stress, same thing, stress hormones may be elevated. They may have problems more than likely with the parasympathetic nervous system. That's the rest and digest portion. See, so taking medications to help you sleep, taking medications to help you wake up, taking medications or something like that to help you digest your food, suffer with constipation. Believe it or not, that person coming from here, from this area here, this is Northern Europe, and coming down to this area would need a red meat diet. And especially a person who's suffering with cancer, like your soft tumors, your leukemias, lymphomas, a red meat diet would help that person. You put that person on fruit and vegetable, it would actually exacerbate the cancer. It would exacerbate some of the parasympathetic tendencies that they may have. So they would, in order to balance things, so we're not saying you have to stay on that forever, but you want to balance the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. Coming from this area here, they need red meat. See? So you can't group everybody into the same group. So that's the first thing, being out of the normal location where your genetics exists. That's a very important thing. Now we have areas that are called blue zones. So people may have adapted. They may be away from the equator. They'd be quite far from the equator. Like here's Japan. That's one of the blue zone regions. These are people who live to be 100+ years of age, centenarians. Okinawa, Japan, right in here. Okinawa, Japan is like some 31 degrees latitude. That's north equator. So they get cold. It gets cold there. All right. But their diet and lifestyle is such that their lifespan, the average lifespan is 83 years. See, life expectancy there, 83 years of age. And so a lot of people live past 100 years of age in Japan. This is called a blue zone. Diet, a lot of vegetables, a lot of seafood, a lot of exercise, not lifting weights all the time, different forms of exercise. That's very important. Another area is Korea, South Korea. That's right over here. See, so South Korea is a little further north. There's some 36 degrees latitude, right in this area right there. And life expectancy is 90 years of age for those people. Different types of food. Make the adjustment. If you can't live in this area or don't live in this area, maybe you can bring the foods in to the area, or the lifestyle to this area, the water to this area. You see what I'm saying? So they've adjusted their lifestyle. That's what chronic illness is. They're lifestyle illnesses. They've adjusted that. So they are able to increase their lifespan. And we're talking about 100 years of age. Let's see if we can find Malaysia. Well, here's the Philippines right here. So trying to see, I'm not sure if the Philippines is a blue zone, but I know South Korea is, Okinawa, Japan is, let's see if we can find Malaysia. Okay, so that's down here. Here's Singapore. Okay, Singapore is 1 degree latitude. See how close they are to the equator? So the people in this area have taken advantage of the location, that's the temperature, the seasonal changes, the water, the foods that they eat. And none of these groups eat a lot of meat. They may eat some form of meat maybe once a week, once every other week, and some people not at all. Okay, a lot of vegetables. The high volume of vegetables is incredible. Some fruit in this area. Okay, so we're gonna go up just to show you. You can bring the lifestyle to you. This is France. So here's Switzerland. Switzerland is 46 degrees latitude. So that's further north than Chicago, which is 42. And so what they've done basically is they have a topography where they have fresh water. They have some of the best water. The water in Switzerland, if you drink that water, you can actually feel it traveling through the digestive system. It's amazing how it makes you feel. You don't need a lot of soap to lather. You feel just wonderful all over. They have some of the best water. And if you go to Saudi Arabia, Mecca, Medina, in this area here, the well water, that's some of the best water. I've had water from there, and at first I thought I had a UTI, urinary tract infection. But when I first started drinking the water, I just kept going to the bathroom, and let me know that my kidneys needed flushing, the bladder needed flushing. And once I've had enough of that water, then everything began to optimize, and I felt 100% better. But I noticed about Switzerland, in Saudi Arabia, the well water there is called Zamzam water. That water there is some of the purest water in the world. And when you get pure food and pure water, you will notice immediate changes in your body. So Spain, here's another place. Spain is 41 degrees latitude. So actually you can trace that right around to Chicago. But the lifestyle, that's important. Lifestyle changes. This, the life expectancy here is 82.8 years of age. South Korea, we say, was 90. Switzerland was 81. But these are blue zones, and these are areas where people live to be centenarians with ease. Okay, so that's very important. And we said there were 2 reasons. Another reason that you become ill and ultimately develop disease is eating foods that don't resonate with the body because they're out of season. So here we eat foods in America. You eat foods that are in season, out of season, all year round. You have to eat foods that resonate with your DNA, that resonate with your cellular metabolism. And that's very important. And so that's why in this area here, you have to fast. You have to have a period of time where you don't eat anything. You don't put anything in, and what's in, you have to clean out and give yourself 30 days to do it. You need distilled water to do that. You need herbs that resonate with the first 4 organs. You have to have herbs for the first 4 organs of detoxification. The main ones are your liver, your kidneys, your lung, and the skin. You have to be able to address and support those herbs. Then you support the other problems that you have. You may have problems with your digestive system, so you need herbs for that. You may have problems with your elimination system, with the colon. You have to have herbs for that. You may have problems with memory, so you may have to have herbs for the brain. So we'll talk about, on our Patreon page, we'll talk about, get into the specifics of the herbs, the uses, and conditions that they actually help to, and organs they actually help to support. But here we just want to give you information to let you know what the problems are and how to address it, and be more cognizant of the fact that there's several things that are not your fault. But if you begin to realize and recognize that there's some things going on that's affecting my body that I wasn't aware of, but now I have to address these issues. Otherwise, this environment could possibly kill me. So when we talk about the environment, and we talk about the season as it relates to the environment, let's look at winter. Okay, so we're looking at changes in season in this area all over, because the seasons change here too, but that might be a rainy season rather than snow. And in the upper areas like the mountains, you get snow. But here we see it gets cold in America, all the way down to near Florida. Sometimes it gets very cold in Florida, down to freezing. Same way in Arizona and California. See, so it can get very cold. But in the winter, we talk about your cells, your organs, they also vibrate at a certain frequency. See, so it's important to have foods that resonate with the organs, that detoxify the body. When they detoxify themselves, they're trying to rid waste from the body. If that organ is blocked, it's going to back up. Poison will disseminate to the rest of the body or to another organ. Just for instance, like kidney, bladder. Those are winter organs. They detoxify themselves in the winter. They detoxify the body in the winter. So we fast in winter because the frequency of those organs is a little bit lower. It's like 3 hertz right there. That's between December 21st and March 21st. That's the winter. And every organ has a certain property. Now, you see this in traditional Chinese medicine, in acupuncture. They understand exactly what I'm saying, but you want to think about the property of the organ and give you some idea as to how to utilize that organ, and what to eat, when to eat, and what not to eat. So this is the reason why we fast. Arguably, we've been fasting for 40 years. We fast, and I fasted longer before I even started to practice, but I've been fasting some 47 years now, once a year, a major fast, a water fast with the support of the organs, drainage through colon irrigation and enemas is very important. And I notice I fasted all 5 seasons. And the best season to fast, and the season that gives you the most benefit and it's easy to do, is in the winter months. But that's kidney and bladder. Those organs have a frequency and resonate at 3 hertz. That's not a lot. You move into the fall, which is about September, late September, September 21st to into the winter, to December 21st. Well, we're looking at the lungs and the large intestine. So the organs are getting a little bit larger. They resonate at a frequency a little bit more in order to function. So we're looking at 5.5 hertz. That's in the fall. And the element associated with the large intestine and the lung is metal. You go to spleen and stomach. That's late summer. That's August 21st to September 21st. Those are big organs, the spleen and the stomach. A lot of activity goes on in the stomach constantly. It resonates at a frequency of 8 hertz. And the associated element is earth. You look at, let's go to the summer. Summer, the heart of summer. That's June 21st to August 21st. We're talking about heart and small intestine, big organs, a lot of activity. Small intestines, digestion, your carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. This is a period of time of the year where people are celebrating. They're eating a lot of foods that are out of season. They're eating a lot of processed foods. They're frying foods. It's all kind of things going on in terms of preparation of the food, and the food basically is out of season. So and what I mean by out of season, in the summer, you're supposed to eat foods that can hold water into your body. It should never be an issue of dehydration. See, so when we're talking about foods that hold water, that's your melon foods. Honeydew melon, watermelon, cantaloupe, all of your melon fruits, mangoes, all these fruits, they hold water in the body. The biggest problem we've had is that people like such a variety of foods that's where they damage their systems, is through variety. But if you can manage to have some discipline, and it takes discipline in order to do this here, you'll be able to balance the body's foods with the seasons. Eat the ones that are in season at that time. So when we're looking at heart and small intestine, the element is fire. These are fire organs. And the last one is spring. Spring is March 21st to June 21st. It resonates at a frequency of 5.5 hertz. I didn't mention heart and small intestine. That's 8, just like the spleen and the stomach. Those are large organs, so they resonate at a higher frequency. They require a lot more blood in order to function, a lot more food, but the food should be seasonal and it should be good food. So when we look at the spring, that's your liver and your gallbladder. Liver is that's one of the main organs of detoxification. So you got to support that. The element is wood. So you have to support that organ, because that's just like the oil filter on your car. And it has a dual oil filter. So there's 2 filters in there. And we'll go through that when we talk about the physiology of the organ. But just keep in mind that it's got to filter whatever comes into the body twice in such a way that it breaks it down and is able to turn whatever it is that comes to the body, toxins, into water to be excreted through the kidneys. So that's important. And it's also important to know that whenever you get sick, and we're talking about the seasons and whatnot, if you get sick in the winter, if it's due to something that you ate, it's really due to something that happened the season or 2 seasons before. It doesn't show up for a season or 2. See, it doesn't manifest itself in an illness, which means that the body wasn't able to rid itself of the waste matter that from the food that you ingested. Instead of getting rid of the waste matter and taking the nutrients and running the cycles of metabolism, you was not able to rid the body of that waste, those waste properties. And what happened is it got right back into your circulation, and now you become infected. That waste matter it'll make you ill, and that's the body's way of letting you know that you have an imbalance in the body. So what we want to do is make sure that you take from this information and start to look at, just observe and see if you have some sort of condition that might be related to your location. It might be related to the chemicals in the food that you consume. It might be related to the air that you breathe. We noticed that in the area of this area here in Chicago, Milwaukee, some of these Midwest states, we had smoke that came down this past summer. Okay, a lot of smoke from burning fires that came down. The air quality was horrible. So that smoke will damage your lungs. You need to know what herbs to take to help support the lungs, to help promote mucus. It should act like an expectorant, like pleurisy root. That is an expectorant. See, pleurisy root will help you start secreting a lot of mucus. You'll cough that mucus up and get the impurities from that smoke out the body. Wild cherry bark. Wild cherry bark will help to lessen the severity of the cough. You add mullein to the pleurisy root. That'll help to get rid of the stringiness of the mucus. The mucus can be strangulating sometimes. It'll loosen it up, but it'll get rid of the stringiness of the mucus. So just those 3 herbs right there is something that you can use in a case where we had problems with smoke inhalation from the wildfires in this area. That's the Canadian wildfires. So I hope you'll be able to get some information that could kind of put you on track, at least make you a little bit more cognizant of the fact that it's not always something that you're doing. There are environmental changes, there are changes in the location that you're in. You got to bring the properties of a location that you're probably genetically from your genetics and your DNA is from that area. You got to bring those properties here. You got to find out what they are and bring those properties to wherever you are as best you can to make sure that you can live as long as the people in the blue zones that we talked about. Okay, so we went through a lot of information here. We plan to talk more specifically about the herbs and how to associate herbal combinations with the conditions that you may have. Make sure that you stay in communication with your primary care physician. Let them know what you're doing. Hopefully you have a primary care physician who is a little bit more understanding as to this type of healthcare. They're moving in this direction, believe it or not, because people are tired of taking medicines that do not heal the tissue, but they do help in terms of preventing some sort of major catastrophe. So until that time, like I said, we'll be talking about the herbs a little bit more on another channel, on our Patreon channel, and we'll let you know when that occurs. All right, best in health.